In December 1973, Americans didn't just panic by toilet paper, they went to war over it. For 3 months, store shelves sat empty, fights broke out in supermarkets. And a single joke on late-night TV nearly brought the country to a standstill. But here's what nobody realized: the shortage wasn't real, and the man who accidentally started it had no idea what he'd done. Today, we're diving into the Great Toilet Paper Panic of 1973 and the psychology of scarcity that still shapes our behavior today. To understand what happened, we need to go back to October 1973. The United States was already on edge. The OPEC embargo had triggered fuel shortages, gas lines stretched for blocks. Inflation was spiraling out of control. Americans were anxious, uncertain, and looking for anything they could control. At the center of this story is a comedian named Johnny Carson, a congressman named Harold Froelich, and millions of ordinary Americans. What they didn't know was that a single statement, made in jest, would trigger a self-fulfilling prophecy. In the fall of 1973, toilet paper was the last thing on most Americans' minds. The country was facing an actual crisis. Trust in institutions was collapsing. Americans were scared. And scared people look for things they can control. And Wisconsin, Congressman Harold Froelich was receiving panic calls from his constituents. They were worried about paper. Froelich learned that the pulp paper industry was facing supply challenges. He did what any politician would do: he issued a statement. Until one night in December, a comedian in New York City picked up a newspaper. But Johnny Carson didn't just read the story. On December 19, 1973, Johnny Carson opened The Tonight Show. "You know what's disappearing?" Carson asked. "Toilet paper." The audience laughed. Carson moved on, but 20 million people were watching, and some of them weren't laughing. He had just triggered the scarcity heuristic, a cognitive bias that makes us value things more when we think they're running out. When we believe a resource is scarce, we feel an urgent need to acquire it, even if the scarcity isn't real. The morning after Carson's monologue, something strange started happening. People began buying toilet paper. Every roll purchased made the shortage seem more real, which made more people buy. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy. By Christmas, the situation had spiraled. Store shelves sat empty because paper was being held back in warehouses. Fights broke out in supermarkets. A Chicago store reported a riot over toilet paper. People were hoarding for an apocalypse. Every news story made more people panic. Every image of empty shelves convinced more people to stock up. By February 1974, the panic had lasted 2 months. Then, Johnny Carson went back on the air. This time, he wasn't joking. Carson explained he had been misinformed. The crisis was ridiculous. He urged his viewers to stop hoarding and return to normal. In 2020, as COVID-19 spread, the same pattern repeated. The psychology was identical. Social media only made it faster, while consumers panicked. One group made record profits: manufacturers. Sales doubled. The industry ended the year more profitable than ever. The scarcity heuristic, it's still there, in all of us, waiting for the next trigger to turn a rumor into a prophecy. We like to think we're rational, but history shows we're far more predictable than we'd like to admit. Be careful what you believe.